Hello everyone, I'm Paul Ferguson. Richard Beaupre is here. Welcome to day 2 of the World Ice Hockey Championships from Italy. We go to Bolzano now. We are live for our big game of the day, Britain against Russia. Russia, last year's world champions, take on Great Britain, who haven't been in Pool A since 1962. That's when they were relegated down to Pool B. And from then on, it was downhill. But in the past 5 years, they've progressed from Pool D to Pool A, and they are back. Can they do the job? Well, let's sit back and see. Bernie McCrone, John McCrone, to people who don't know him, is in goal. Stephen Cooper, Hope, a lot of Canadians on the team. Only 7 Brits, but 16 Canadians. Coach Alex Dampier, Bopes will really have his work cut out for him. Before he came here, he knew that the Canadians and the Russians were going to be the tough teams, that they were going to probably run all over them, but they were hoping for victories or at least close games in this competition from Austria, Italy, and perhaps Germany.
It's anybody's game anytime anyone steps on the ice. The Brits are back. They are for real. They've worked hard. It's been a long season for everybody. They know they are up against it with the Russians and the Canadians, but on the night, possibly they could get by the Italians, the Austrians, the Germans. It's all going to be found out within the next 2 weeks. We'll know that for sure.
Well, the Russians have quite a squad. They won it last year and then came up with a disappointing 4th for them in the Olympics, but now they've got some big boys back. Stelenkov is between the pipes. Dmitry Yushkevich is here from Philadelphia. Zhitnik from LA. You can go down the list. We will as the game goes on. And you'll see that they have a lot of world-class players with their side. Boris Mikhailov is the coach. Viktor Tikhonov rather, is no longer around with the #1 national team. And we'll see how Mikhailov does with the Russian team. Yashin, skating through your picture now, is the big man for Ottawa. And he's come back because the Senators did not make the playoffs. Kamensky is here from Quebec, one of my favorite players, and it'll be nice to see him back on European ice. Sloppy, the mascot, is going through his motions out there. He really does get the crowd wound up, and before and after the game, he mixes with the players. Some scores from yesterday's games: Canada beating the Italians 4-1, and the Austrians and the Germans coming up with a 2-2 scoreline.
Paul, as we mentioned before, the British might be up against it. One of Dampier's problems is that his team really has never been together as a team. The British championships have just finished this past weekend. The Russians have had to strengthen their team a little bit due to the NHL teams that are going by the wayside in the NHL playoffs. They have added Yashin and company. Kaminsky is back. They lost to Austria 1-0 a couple of weeks ago. They sent 6 players home, and then they went on to beat the French 6-0. The reigning world champions are certainly going to be confident. They're going to be relaxed. They've been there before. The British, it's going to be a great opener for them. They are going to be a little tense, though. It's been a long time, and a lot of these guys have never been in this kind of competition.
A little tense, I think, is an understatement. They've got some good players. We know all of them because we both live in the United Kingdom, and these guys are good hockey players. Don't kid yourself. We say there are a lot of Canadians on the team. They all, of course, have British passports, and these are the best kids in the country. I don't care what they say in the country about too many Canadians on the team. Dampier has picked the best, and that's the choice he had to make. He's the coach, and he made that decision. If you have young kids, 18, 19, okay, maybe in a few years they'll be ready. But right now, when you're playing against the likes of Yushkevich, Yashin, Kovalenko, Berezin, Ulanov, all with top experience, then you've got to have the best, whether they hold a Canadian, a German, a French, whatever passport. As long as they hold a British passport and they're eligible, they should be on the team.
That's absolutely right. Hopefully they'll learn through their experiences, and as time goes on in British hockey, rules will change. It will work out that younger players will be fed into the national team. Whether they're British or not, that's yet to be seen. But the best team that they've got is out on the ice, and these guys have come a long way from Pool D not that many years ago, as we all remember.
You'll get a chance to see Tony Hand, who's the Scottish player who was drafted by Edmonton in the 80s. He's the #1 point getter in the country this year with 73 goals and 149 assists for 222 points. when you compare that to the #1 in the NHL, Wayne Gretzky, 38 plus 92 for 130 points, it really does make a farce of scoring tables. But I have to assure you that Tony Hand, although he's a good player, is not better than Wayne Gretzky. It's just that Britain is very offensively minded. The goaltending and the defensive play is not what it's cracked up to be in other countries, and it is a lot easier to score. And I think that may be a problem for some of the boys out there, because they're used to taking shots from all angles and getting away with it. When you play against guys like Stalenkov, who spent some time in Anaheim, 10 games to be exact, and picked up a 2.65 average, then you're going to have trouble putting the puck by him. The referee is from Finland, Seppo Makala. The Russians are playing from left to right, and well, let's see what they have in store. John Bernie Macron, between the pipes, 31 years old, plays for Fife in Scotland. Mikhail Stalenkov, 28 years old, between the pipes for the Russians. From the face-off, that's batted into Russian territory, so the first shot on goal goes to Great Britain. Not a very big crowd here in Bolzano, but this tournament is growing in strength. We saw some fantastic games yesterday, and let's hope it continues. The Czechs against the Finns was a great one. Shot coming right around, and the Russians now piling on the pressure. Shot wide of the target from way back of the blue, and the Brits are going to have to hit, and the first hit there comes from Shannon Hope. Bounding in the boards, and Frolov pumps it over to the far side. Tony Hand goes after his man back at the blue line, and the Brits now pick it up behind their zone and flip it all the way around. And we know that a lot of people back in Great Britain are watching this game, and they have their fingers crossed, and they'll be sitting by their TV sets, because Eurosport is the only television company covering the World Championships with a feed to Britain. I don't know why, with a team in Pool 8, the British haven't considered this a more important event, but nobody is doing that. Pushed away, and Britain, with a lot of number changes out there, as Kellen gets back on the D in a hurry. Offside is the call. We're saying, Bopes, that it is a pity that although we want to be the only company going into the homes of Great Britain, but you think one or two of the home-based stations would have picked it up. Farah against Yashin. Yashin brings it through, taps it up, and the Brits get it in neutral ice and shoot it all the way down. Coming up to the second minute of play in this first period. Farah forechecking. Passed over to Ulanov. Ulanov dumps that behind the goal, and the Russians settle it down. And Great Britain go back on the defense as 19 Yashin breaks in. A chance, big shot wide of the target. Loose puck right there. And 24 Nikolitin got a piece of that. Loose puck bobbles into the corner. Kellen bringing his man down. 23 Valery Bure, brother of Pavel Bure, who plays with the Vancouver Canucks, is out there now taking a shift for the Russian team. And it's nice to see the youngster coming back from North America to take a spell with the Russians. Nikolitin fires that over to the far side. The drop pass. Still no score in this live contest as the British team continue to play hockey with the Russians out there. And I have a feeling a lot of people thought this would be a runaway, and we'll see what happens. Bezukladnikov gets it away. Some good back-checking there as the British team, and McEwen couldn't hang on to that. British team working it out of the zone. And a chance now for the Russians as that comes forward. Gorbachev taken out of the plate. McEwen couldn't get a stick on that. It comes back to the top of the circle. Shendelev winds up. Loose puck in front, and that's in the net. Bezukladnikov was cruising in there. The loose puck came to the far side after Shendelev's shot.
Shendelev lets it go from the point. Two Russians, three Russians now, two Brits back. An easy goal for 27, Bezukladnikov, as he puts the rebound away. It's one of the things that is going to cost the British team. They know they have to be aggressive. They know they've got to play the body all over the ice. It's going to be discipline, though, and that they've got to maintain good positional play. The point was open, and then a man was left to take an easy rebound.
Bezukladnikov, who played on the Olympic team, picks up the first goal of the game for the Russians. That trickles to the far side, and some continuous pressure here as Britain try to get out of the zone. Tipped all the way back in by Teplakov.
The first period, score for the Russian team.
Juszkiewicz provides a little interference out front. 3:30 gone in the first period. Pushed away there by Smirnov. Hit in the corner as Mason gets back in there. Mason trying to tie that up. Working against Gure. Ulanov. Loose puck out front, and Macron went down with the blocker and the stick, and the Great Britain side now bring it up the ice. This is more positive. The shot deflected away as Juszkiewicz gets back. Patrick Scott getting some wood on it. That's flipped up into neutral ice territory. The long clearance by Kovalenko, and we have another whistle on the play.
Good shot taken by Patrick Scott. It's the first decent chance, really, that the Brits have had. A good play at the other end of the ice as Brian Mason picked up Nicolishin in front of the goal. He did momentarily have a chance at the rebound.
Fedulov gets set for the circle. From the face-off, that trickles all the way back in. 4:14 gone on the period. Stephen Cooper tries to get it out of the zone. That comes as far as the hash marks and picked up by Kamensky. Valery Kamensky trying to work out in front. The shot goes upstairs. Fedulov and Kamensky working hard in front of that net.
Two goals, and two times Russians are left alone in front of the net. Kamensky pushes the puck over. He is hit by Cooper, but he goes right on the stick of Fedulov, who puts it upstairs for the second Russian goal. Macron without a lot of help back there. The Brits are really going to have to tighten down defensively.
Igor Fedulov. Goal number 2 for Team Russia was scored by number 11.
So number 2 for the Russians comes from the stick of Igor Fedulov.
First period.
Loose puck on the far side. His hand tries to get a grab on it. Hope picks it up, and that comes all the way into the slot area, and Great Britain clear it into neutral ice territory. Cooper goes after it. Can't get a handle on that. Shendelev peppers that to the far side. Hope goes after his man, and they're going to have to start hitting these guys. Teplakov flips it all the way back. Smirnov taps it up to the blue line, and Great Britain back on the attack. 3 players hitting the blue line. Hand tries to get that over. His pass was well and truly off the mark. Zhitnik drops it back. Not a great pass from the Russians there. As Cooper fed it through, and a chance now again. Shot coming on the target from Nicolishin. Another shot from way back at the blue, and Macron watches these fly by the nets. Cooper kicks that out of the zone. Farah tries to go after it and steal it, and the Russians getting back quickly. A little tap forward by Yashin. That's intercepted. Back on a Russian stick as they go back on the attack. Cooper backhands that out of the zone, and the Russians making use of the entire ice surface with Nicolishin dropping that back onto the D. 2-0 the score. Farah goes after his man as that's put back on the defense, and Kellen taps it up onto the wing. Farah reached out for that. A little tap up now to Yashin. 1 or 2 cheeky passes out there that don't work. Farah throws it up to the blue line. A long clearance to the far side, and Byakin unable to do anything with it. Long shot on the target, and Stelenkov has no problem with that at all. Bezukladnikov Head manning the puck. That's flipped high. Kellen went back for it, and McCrone tapped it away for him. Kellen eventually picks it up, and that's given right back to the Russians. Bouncing puck goes over Frolov's stick. Or pass through centralized territory. Bezukladnikov couldn't get a handle on that. Gorbachev unable to pick it up. Frolov. McEwen goes after his man. The long shot deflects away, and Great Britain just happy to get it out of the zone. Biakin. Gorbachev drops it back. This could be dangerous. Big shot! That's number 3. Zhitnik powered in, and Biakin eventually got the big shot from back of the blue. Moving in quickly.
Stepping in from his blue line spot. Biakin has a lot of time. Puts it behind McCrone for the 3rd Russian goal.
Well, I have a feeling that John McCrone is going to see a lot of rubber in this one. We knew that it would be a high-scoring game in favor of the Russians, but I guess you pick a number. The president of the British Ice Hockey Association just wants to survive this game and the one against the Canadians. They feel they can play a lot better against the lower-placed team. Big shot on the target. McCrone gets in front of that nicely. Cruising was Siplakov, and he couldn't get a handle on it.
McCrone is going to have to handle those long shots. He's going to have to either control the rebounds or at least kick them out, and the defense are going to have to keep picking up that extra man like Andre Malo just did a minute ago.
Yushkevich with a long shot off the plexi, and we have a face-off and a chance for both teams to change their teams out there, and Dampier, the coach for Great Britain, will want to put on fresh legs, and these guys are going to have to change a lot faster than they do in Great Britain. A lot of these players will spend between 30 to 50 minutes on the ice. Yes, folks, that's how long they'll stay on the ice in Great Britain, because it's basically two-line hockey, but not in this game, not at this level. They're going to have to change every 30, 45 seconds. Picked up in the corner. Mason tries to work his way down the ice. A loose puck now, and Great Britain with hand. Running out of places to go. Being pushed away by Biakin. A chance now coming up for 26, Kovalenko. Stolen, and back comes Britain. Kovalenko getting back on the attack. Some good stuff by Andrei Kovalenko. Cooper eventually being taken off the puck as Fedulov pushes that into the corner. Hand just fans on it as he went to clear that out. Cooper breaks on the right side. Grabant taken off the play, and Stelenkov got a shot. This could be interesting. Comes right out front, a chance to shot. Scores! Stelenkov went down.
Terry Kurtenbach has the first British goal. A nice pass coming across to him. Kurtenbach picks his spot, puts it away, and the Brits are on the scoreboard. Terry Kurtenbach, a guy who's accustomed to playing defense, found himself up front. Made no mistake with that one.
From the face-off, that comes back onto the defense and shot all the way down the ice, and icing is the call. 3-1 is the score, and that will definitely give Great Britain a lot of confidence. Dampier on the left, Peter Johnson on the right. Dampier the coach, Johnson one of the assistant coaches. Farah gets set for the face-off circle. One or two things happening on your screen. We apologize for that. Big shot coming in from Zhitnik, bounces to the far side, and Cooper gets a piece of it as we approach the 9-minute mark. We've lost sound totally. I hope you can hear us. Picture's fading fast too, but we'll try to stay with you. Farah tries to poke it out front, and the Russians now bringing it out. Coming back on the attack. Great Britain getting back in numbers as Cooper goes after his man. Loose puck in front of the net. And McCrone goes down. And the net being totally dislodged as Bure moved in front, waiting for that rebound. Hope takes his man out. Bure was cruising back behind the crease.
A couple of Cardiff Devil defensemen doing a good job on that shift. Shannon Hope and Stephen Cooper, that is, doing their jobs, taking the 2-on-2 quite nicely.
Matt Cote steps onto the ice for Great Britain. One of the more stay-at-home defensemen that they have. Cooper overskates that, but eventually it's shot down the ice. Matt Cote is great at blocking shots. Hope in the box for high sticking, and more pressure will come now from the Russians. McEwen tries to get a stick on that, and he does. McEwen, a great penalty killer, good two-way player. Loose puck in front of the net, batted down, and eventually Great Britain with McEwen get it out of the zone. One of the many Canadians on the team also holding a British passport. Doug McEwen used to be a figure skater when he was a youngster. He doesn't want to tell too many players about that. He's guaranteed a ribbing, as you can guess. McEwen couldn't get onto that one. Gorbachev. Cooper, loose puck in front. Pope coming from Macron as that goes high. And another whistle on the play.
The Brits have got to be careful. A lot of ice surface there. The Russians sneaking behind them a couple of times on the outside. The Russians will look for that long pass. They've still got to kill off this penalty to Shannon Hope.
Alex Dampier talking to the officials about the clock. We know from yesterday's experience that we've had lots of problems with the captions and the time on the screen, but that should be linked to the time in the stadium. The Italians haven't got it quite right yet, and we're seeing penalties end with still 10 seconds on the clock on your screen. So I'm afraid you'll have to disregard most of the captions that you see until we're sure that they have it right, and most of the timings that you see. Hopefully you'll be able to rely on us. Sometimes I don't know about that either. Face-off just outside the British blue line. Tsiplakov goes in the face-off circle. Scott moves in, pushed along to Nicolishin. Nicolishin along the boards with a lot of time as the Russians set this one up from the hash marks. Nicolishin gets it back to Yushkevich, back to Nicolishin. And it really is nice to say some of these Russian names again. These guys went to the NHL. We thought they'd never come back. Macron goes down. And if anything, Macron does have a tendency to go down when he really doesn't need to. That time he deflects it when there was no need to go down. He could have smothered that right away. It's not just nerves, it's the way he plays hockey. He's got to stay up on his feet, or these guys will murder him. He really has to stay up. Even on high shots, he has a tendency to drop down on one knee and reach up with the glove, and that's something you should never do. Tsiplakov in the face-off circle again. Tsiplakov tries to break through. Some interference there from Nicolishin. Yushkevich pops it over to the top slayer. Shot comes right in, and Macron has it, looks to the back of the net, but gets up, and the puck is underneath him. Big shot from way back of the blue, and Macron comes up with another save.
Puck moved back to the point. The Russians trying to get in front of the goal. Andre Malo has a man tied up. It's Berezan around the front of the net.
Nicolishin playing without that face guard that we saw in the Olympics. His jaw injury has healed, and he's out there without a face guard. Cooper goes after his man. Can't get anything going. Long shot from way back at the blue. Fedora pops it back to the hash marks. Biakin calls for it back at the blue. And again, Macron goes down. Loose puck. And again, it's in the back of the net. Kovalenko in there with Fedulov and Kovalenko, Kamensky. They're all buzzing around that net. Power play goal.
Kamensky directs the puck toward the goal. Fedulov is there. Bodies flying around. The puck is still bouncing. Kamensky very possibly getting the final touch on that. Macron wasn't able to hold on to it. Reaches out with his stick. That isn't going to work. The Brits come back in numbers. It isn't going to be enough. The final touch was 26. Kovalenko on the goal.
Fedulov works in from a sharp angle, and that goes off the glove and deflects into the corner.
Time 11.11 first period.
11 minutes plus gone in the period, and the Great Britain side are trailing 4-1. Power play goal. Kurtenbach got that out of the zone. His opposite number, Shendelev, flips it out in the slot area. Farah rides interference on Kamensky. Kamensky back from Quebec. Slows it down, moves it through the neutralized zone. These guys have wheels, and Kamensky's got the shot. Good move by Kamensky as he tries to stick handle through the whole team. Excellent defensive stop. Now as Farah breaks quickly. Farah coming off. He also has a good shot. Puts it right on Stalenkov. And Stalenkov bangs that off the plexi to get it out of harm's way. Farah goes back into shadow. Zhitnik calls for it on the near side, but that's popped up onto the left side. Back on the attack. The Russians with a lot of room out there. Yashin goes down, and even before he took the shot, Macron was down on all fours. Macron watching behind the net. The wraparound, and again it's a goal. Valerie Bure comes from behind the net. Number 5.
The Russians are not only quick, they are stronger than the British players. It's becoming apparent here as they're just out muscling them around the goal, behind the net. Burra, the 19-year-old kid who played junior hockey this year in Western Canada with Spokane, will eventually be in the NHL probably next year with Montreal. Comes around the net. Macron not able to get to the post properly, and Burra has the 5th Russian goal.
Really, Macron was not set for that at all. When the guy comes around from the corner of the net, you've got to get the stick out, you've got to have the pads down. He was already down again before the guy was even at the front of the net.
Number 5 for Team Russia was scored by
long shot into the corner. Hope will pick this up, pushes it away from Yashin. High flick into neutralized territory. Nikolitin now starts it up. 13 minutes gone. Nikolitin fakes the shot, trying to get around Hope and Cooper. These guys play well together at Cardiff, and they're teamed up together on the Great Britain side. Pumped into the corner. Yashin trying to get it up to Bure. Yashin and Bure. McEwen will pick up the loose puck, but he doesn't have a stick. McEwen rather kicks it along the boards as McEwen goes back to try to get the stick. Cooper rattles that off the woodwork, and that'll go the distance. Icing is the call.
It was the right thing by Stephen Cooper there, just to ice the puck. The Brits needed a change. Cooper, McEwen, and Hope had been out there a while. This will allow Dampier to change the lineup.
Well, as we said before the game started, the Great Britain team have not had a lot of time together. They had their finals, I guess it was the only date they could get, the Wembley Arena, but the British finals were held the weekend before this tournament started, so the players didn't get here till yesterday, and they really haven't practiced much together. Not an ideal situation for any team, but that's the way they do things in Britain. The Russians starting to get a little physical. Biakin overskated that. Gorbachev lets that go back, and Frolov picks it up. Frolov fans on the clearance, but he's got support from Imalin. The Russians now back on the attack. Imalin hits the slot area. Imalin drops it back, intercepted nicely, and Britain not doing anything with the puck at all except getting it out of the zone. Rabant hooking along the boards, one of the most prolific goal scorers Great Britain has ever seen. Rick Rabant, a Canadian, wearing 13. Out there on the ice now for Great Britain. Yushkevich being hassled by Ian Cooper. Cooper unable to get a handle on that. Big shot, scored. Well, Berezin picks up a goal number 6, and it's getting very easy indeed to score on Bernie Macron. He should have had that one, and I think it's time to pull the goaltender. I really do hate to say that, because I used to be a goaltender myself, and I think I would hate anyone to say that about me. But that's not the correct caption up there, I can assure you. But it really is. Nerves have gotten to him, and he's not set for this game. Berezin does get credit for the goal, not Shendelev. And again, the captions are wrong here. Britain trying to get it out of the zone. 6-1 the score. And still a long way to go in this competition. Loose puck right in front, goes right past the right post as we look at the goal. Ian Cooper shooting it out of the zone. Juszkiewicz taps it in. Mallow. Andre Mallow rattles that off the far boards, but only as far as the blue line. And the Russians now are playing with Great Britain. Shot from Juszkiewicz. Well wide of the target. Biakin. Not a great pass from him, but the Russians get it back in. Farah reaches for that, can't get it. Juszkiewicz passes it up through the middle, a two-line pass, and the whistle blows. And this is about as we expected. Without being unkind to Great Britain, the Russians do have a good squad, and the British team, with an average age of just a hair under 30, would always be struggling in this one.
It's a class act that Russia have out there as well. They've got 8 or 9 NHL players in their lineup. They certainly are a team that are probably going to be in the medal round. So the British have just got to hold their heads above water, get through this game, and take it one day at a time.
Conway, who plays his hockey in Basingstoke, loses out in neutral ice territory. Morris, number 24, trying to get something going and unable to do so. Fedulov. Long clearance through, and Mason eventually shoots it all the way down the ice, and they're going to have to be a little more positive than that, just getting the puck out of their zone into neutral ice territory or down the ice. They're going to have to work on things to prepare them for what they feel will be the easier teams in the competition. And speaking of those easier teams, well, I would say forget about it. The Austrians tied the Germans at 2, and the Norwegians tied the Swedes at 3. These are supposed to be the weakest teams, or some of the weaker teams in the competition, and boy, they're playing some good hockey. Yakubov tapped that forward. Another chance for the Russians as they come through. That was better. Shannon Hope getting the hip check out there. Yashin taken out of the play. Zhitnik. McEwen goes to the right. Zhitnik fakes the shot, gets around Hope. Zhitnik taps it all the way back to the blue line. Berezin. Zhitnik winds up, takes the shot, loose puck, bounces away. One or two sticks getting in there as Chin worked his way down the right side. Nicky Chin from Wales, perhaps one of the most improved players in the British game, former Young British Player of the Year. Spent some time in the Calgary Flames training camp as Yashin goes to the penalty box.
Nick Chin is a player for the future. He's a young kid. It's good to see him get a shift. Longstaff has had one shift as well. The 19-year-old kid from Whitley Bay, another player for the future. Nicky Chin, big and strong. It's only going to get better as time goes on.
Less than 3 minutes on the clock as Rick Farah goes back for Great Britain. Power play situation. Farah taps it up and looks for a little support as Great Britain try to get something going here. Frank Morris working out there with Farah on the power play. Stelenkov came out and made the save on that loose puck, and Stelenkov really hasn't been tested that often. Farah will stay out on the face-off circle. Conway on the left wing. Morris on the right. Plakov up against Farah. And Ziplakov wants Ferrer to get his stick on the ice. Shot comes in, took a deflection, loose puck is there, Ferrer goes right in on goal, and Ferrer was dumped heavily into the pipes. Ferrer hit hard from behind.
Good effort by Rick Ferrer, goes to the backhand, pushes the puck toward the goal, and he really takes a shot from behind. Ferrer not the biggest of guys, but he certainly is a hard one to hit. Very clever guy, always keeps his head up.
2 minuti di penalità, il numero 2 Dimitri
Juszkiewicz, the guy who buried him from behind, goes to the penalty box. The Brits with a good opportunity now, 5-on-3.
Number 2 of Russia, Dimitri Juszkiewicz, for cross-check.
Juszkiewicz does not look too worried about the situation, but I'm sure Stalenkov is going to be concerned.
From Rusland, begin cross-checks.
Ulanov against Ferrer. Ferrer's been out there for a while. Ferrer wins the draw nicely, gets it all the way back to the blue, and Great Britain now with a chance from the side of the net. Ferrer can't reach it. Conway in front, back to McEwen. McEwen winds up and takes the shot, and that's wide of the target. Conway and Ferrer. Conway at the side of the net. Ferrer working from the blue, back to Moore, back to McEwen. One-timer right in the skates, and Stalenkov quick to get it away. Frank Morris squeezed out of the play, and it's rattled away by Ziplakov. And McEwen, a long pass up to Conway. Conway takes the shot and guns it for the far post, and Stalenkov picks it up. And this is a good spell, or even spell, by Great Britain.
Ferrer and Conway had played together at Basingstoke last year. Kevin Conway, to his credit, has come back from a broken leg not that long ago, just over, about a month and a half ago to be exact, and Kevin's come a long way. He's been working hard to get himself ready to play in these games.
Tony Hand steps out on the wing. Brabant at center, back to Cooper, over to Hope. Time ticking down on the period and on the penalties, but still lots of time for Great Britain to pop one. Backhander right in front, Hand moves in and couldn't get Wood on the stick. And a long clearance, Wood on the puck as that goes all the way down the ice. Hope is there. Hope being shadowed by Biakin. Cooper, pass up on the wing. Not a great pass, but Britain hang on to it in neutral ice territory. Brabant, back to Hand. Brabant loses his stick. Kamensky picks it up, tries to take it through the circle. Brabant gave him a hard time. Kamensky now coming back on goal. Look at the stride, trying to get around Cooper. Great move, great move. And McCrone comes up with a save, but Kamensky came up strong. McCrone pushes it away, but you can see why this guy is in the NHL. Cooper comes up. Brabant gives it right out in front, and Nicolishin bangs it down the ice.
Great moves by Kamensky. The kids are probably watching that one at home, wondering how could a guy skate through an entire team. Well, he's an NHL star as well.
Hand giving that away, and it's something the Great Britain team will have to learn at this level. You just don't hand the puck to the opposition. It's not going to come back that easily. 5-on-5 now as Cooper picks it up and tries to get it out of the zone. Juszkiewicz runs interference as Ulanov goes back for the Russian team, and there goes the buzzer to end the first period of hockey. 20 minutes gone, and it's already 6-1 for the Russians over Great Britain.
The Brits can go to the dressing room and try and get their act together a little bit. One period is under their belt. The cobwebs should be gone. They know they're in a battle now.
They must have been very, very nervous indeed. It really is a mammoth task for them. And they did well on the power play. I thought they threw the puck around nicely, and they almost had a second goal. Nothing to be ashamed of right now. I do think that Damps should take a look at the goaltending out there and perhaps put in Martin Mackay, because despite the save he made on Kamensky, McCrone is not up to this one. We're going to take a break. We'll be back in a moment. On the Germans, and the Austrians, Richard, really came out flying. They played some hard-hitting hockey in the first period.
They're a team that know they're up against it as well, going in to most games as underdogs, really came out to prove themselves.
Nashim from close in whipped that around, and Heiss was beaten, and that really did lift the Austrian team as well as the Austrian supporters.
Nashim, a Canadian-Austrian, getting the boys going, a real excitable guy with a good spin-around move, gets the puck, keeps his head and his wits about him, stays on balance, nicely puts that one underneath the goaltender.
This was the only goal of the first period, so after 20 minutes, Austria led the Germans 1-0. There was no scoring in the second period. And in the third period, this is the way the Germans got on the scoreboard. Meyer, number 35, on a power play. Big shot from way back of the blue, made it 1-1.
The Germans started getting stronger and stronger as things went on. They moved the puck around nicely with the man advantage. Jason Meyer at the blue line, kept it low, found the spot that he wanted and got the Germans on the scoreboard. A nice one-timer by Meyer. That's all it took for Germany to get on the board.
The Germans with a lot of new faces, a younger, new-look squad. Missing, of course, the Trunchkas and Dieter Hagen, Uli Heimer. All these guys have packed it in for the moment anyway. Another defenseman getting involved. This time it's an Austrian, Hohenberger, with a shot. Again, a power play situation, and now the Austrians are back in the lead, 2-1.
The Austrians were really fired up. They had a good crowd. They really seemed to want it. Hohenberger, a big defenseman, found himself being the goal scorer. Normally the guy who's knocking bodies around in front of his own net. Had a lot of time just inside the blue. Let this one rip for the second Austrian goal.
Well, just when the Austrians thought they had themselves a victory, the Germans came back hard. Less than a couple of minutes on the clock. The shot coming from Leo Steffen, a good release, quick release. And that's the score, 2-2, and that's the way it ended.
Quick release is exactly the right word, Paul. He really snapped this one off. It's one you try to teach the kids on the move, push the puck in front of you, use the defenseman as a screen possibly, and just let it go. The goalie was caught off guard. Steffen had picked his spot. It's a nice shot. The Germans showing their guts, not giving up, and coming back to level things with the Austrians.
Back to Bolzano's second period action about to begin. Russia 6, Great Britain 1. Bezukletnikov, Fedulov, Biakin, Kamensky, Kovalenko. Not Kamensky, rather. Kamensky got involved in the Kovalenko goal. Burev and Berezin. So it's 6-1. And as we anticipated, it's going to be a high-scoring game. But as we said at the very beginning, Great Britain, according to their president, just want to survive.
Say what you want. If you're the British team and you're Alex Dampier, he's just got to keep these guys positive. They've got a lot of games left ahead of them. They've got to stay positive, stay together. They're a team out there. Win or lose, they're all together. I think I would possibly look, Paul, you've mentioned it a couple times, Macron. He hasn't played that well. Dampier maybe should be looking at getting Mackay in the goal. If not, other than that, they need to cover the point. The Russians have had a lot of time out at the blue line. There's no reason for that. I know they're good skaters, they're strong, they're quick, but everybody's got a job to do. And just cover up a little bit tighter around the front of the net. Let's give Macron a little bit of help. If he does make that first save, clear some bodies out. I think that Stephen Cooper and Shannon Hope did a pretty good job in the first period. Those two guys were working hard and they took the body quite nicely.
Kurtenbach picking up the only goal for Britain. Rick Farah came close, rattling it off the side of the post and then getting hit into the post by Yushkevich. For a while, with a 5-on-3 situation, the Brits were throwing the puck around nicely and looking very sharp indeed. Stelenkov has been tested a couple of times, but nothing too serious. But at the other end of the rink, the pucks have been flying from all angles.
That's right. The Russians are just so disciplined, and they are so talented. Let's face it. They can move the puck around. They've got good individual talent, guys with a lot of moves. They're using the ice to their advantage, though. The Brits need to stay a little closer together, get away from the long passes. The short give and goes are going to be much more to their advantage.
John McCrone made a great save at the end of the period on Valerie Kamensky, who picked up 28 goals and 37 assists for Quebec this year. He stick handled through the whole team and then tried to jam it in on the right side as we look at the net, and McCrone got the glove down. Martin Mackay smiling as he steps on the ice. He knows he hasn't faced this rubber yet, but he should be thinking in the back of his mind that it might happen.
Oh, absolutely. Big smile from Mackay. Okay, Bernie, go get him again. He wants to remember that if Bernie doesn't go get him, he's the guy that's going to be thrown in there. Maury Hansen is also on hand for the British team as a third goaltender. He very well could see some action himself.
Seppo Makala calls the teams together for the start of this second period. We are live on Eurosport. And it's a 6-1 game. The Russians leading Great Britain. Several other games being played today. Canada against Austria, the Czech Republic against France. We're going to see that one later on Eurosport. And so another full card, a couple of live games. So stay with us, please. We're going to be doing this right until the end of the competition on May the 8th. A look there at Maury Hansen, the third goaltender. By no means the third goaltender, but in this situation he is number 3. And he's dressed in civvies, opening the door. Cooper and Hope back on the D as this second period gets underway. Hope going back quickly. Chance now for Fedulov as he flips it to the far side. The shot ricochets in from a sharp angle. A high flip by Cooper, and that's well and truly out of play as Rick Brabant broke onto the left side.
Brabant's all over the ice. He's one of those guys that just doesn't stop working. He's going to do his job defensively and offensively. Good job by him to get back on that play.
This game will be a nice warm-up for the Russians. And Boris Mikhailov, the coach, he really does want the team to gel. There's a lot of pressure with the split in the federations there in Russia, so there's a lot of pressure, and he really needs a good result to get things back to normal. Farah working with Conway. Conway tries to glove it down, but he's brought down in the circle. Morris goes in after his man and then skates away. Long pass right up the middle. Trickles into the corner. Left there by Bure. Shot. Nicolishin being shadowed by Morris. Morris all over him from back of the blue line. McCrone goes down, and that bounces into the corner. Chopped there by Conway. Farah goes in hard too. Farah tries to bring it out, throws it back to Conway. Farah breaks up onto the left side. Yashin shadows in the middle. Britain now throwing it in the corner. Cleared away by Chris Kellen. Nicolishin wants to pick this up, pushes it away from Conway. Kellen ties his man up. Cote working hard against Bure. Loose puck on the far side is picked up, and now the Russians dancing along the blue line with Bure. Bure looking for places to go. Farah goes over top of him. Cote mixes it up with Bure. Nicolishin moves in front of the net. Now the shot goes in. McCrone goes down. Kellen tries to pick it up as that goes to Nicolishin. He gets it all the way back to the blue line. Yushkevich back to Nicolishin, and that's tipped out of the zone. And a chance now for Britain, but Ulanov is too fast for Frank Morris, and he clears it out of the way. Both teams trying to get fresh legs out there.
The shift has been long. We haven't had a whistle in a while. Both teams are changing on the fly.
Ulanov flips it into the corner. Chin goes in hard. Back on the attack, the Russians with 2-3 players now hitting the blue line. Flipped away. into neutralized territory. Smirnov wants it back at his own blue, and he gets it. Flips it back over to the far side. Gentle pass into neutralized territory. Bezukladnikov looking to go somewhere, and that doesn't work. Berezin. Suplakov. Cranston unable to get a stick on it on the far side of the rink. Chin looking for places to go. Chin poke checked right at the blue line. O'Connor flips it to the far side of the rink, and both teams again try to get fresh legs out there. Yushkevich up to Nikolishin. That flips into Great Britain territory. Pushed away all the way down the ice. Stelenkov will have to touch that as Yushkevich picks it up quickly up onto Bezukladnikov's stick. Another nice little pass. Shot comes in, and Macron gets a piece of that as Gorbachev let a whistler go.
That shot is the goalie's all the way. As long as Macron can see it, he should be able to handle that one. Gorbachev with a lot of time lets it go. The defense haven't screened Macron. He's able to stop the puck and hold on.
Mike O'Connor got back quickly looking for the rebound, but this time Macron, as you said, Bopes held on. Frolov from the blue line. Pat Scott gets it up nicely. A chance for Morrison. Morrison spins around, waiting for a little support, and Scott overskated that. Great Britain are not going to get too many opportunities. They really do have to make the most of them. Gorbachev gets the wheels moving, pops it back, fit through the circle. Some good stuff now as Immolen tries to squeeze it in on the short side. Kurtenbach moves it away. And Great Britain with Kurtenbach feeding it up on the left wing. That goes the distance. All the way back borders Frolov. Frolov mixing it up with Scott Morrison. The shot. Mason, no steam on it. Mason whips it right in front. Tony Hand picks it up. Cooper was in front, and Hand fans on it. That's the second time we've seen him do that in this game. Immolen waits for a little support, pops it over the line. Kurtenbach is there and gives it away in the corner. Against the Russians, you cannot give it away. Hand breaking down against Frolov. Shendelev quickly up on the left wing. Fedulov. Fedulov runs into trouble, hangs onto it, and then gets rid of it. Shendelev back to Fedulov. Fedulov working with Kaminsky. Hope goes after him. Kaminsky tries to bring it in front, and that's cleared out of the zone.
The Russians do seem relaxed. They're making a lot of passes in this period, but the Brits, to their credit, are skating better already in the second period.
Great Britain looking a lot more relaxed, and they realize that just before the game, the Russians lace up their skates exactly the way they do. Nice pass from Tony Hand. The drop pass almost worked, but it comes all the way back to the blue line. Shot up. One or two people calling for an offside. Hand looking for places to go. Good pass. The shot comes in. Cooper got a piece of that as it bounced away. Another shot from a sharp angle. Working from behind the net is Brabant, and that's kept in. Cooper and Hope back at the blue line doing a good job for Great Britain. 5.5 minutes gone in the period. No goals in this period. 6-1 the scoreline. The Russians leading this one. Loose puck in front. Kamensky was right there.
The Brits in a little bit of danger. Just take the icing call. That will allow them another opportunity to regroup. They haven't given up anything yet in this second period. Action coming at Macron once again. A little careless with the stick. Fortunately for him, Shannon Hope is anxiously awaiting to receive the puck.
Yashin looking to do a wraparound, working with Nikolishin. Nikolishin now picks up the short pass. Kellen goes after him. Cleared away for the moment anyway by Cote, and that's brought in offside.
Positional play a little bit better. Once again, this time it's Frank Morris who just takes his blue line opponent away from getting the pass. It went back over the blue line. The Russians will be forced to try it again. All the little things, just cover your men. Make sure that wherever there's a Russian body, there's a Brit.
Farah from the face-off takes it, is chopped away by Boudet. Valerie Boudet, property of the Montreal Canadiens. His brother Pavel, of course, the Red Rocket for the Vancouver Canucks. Farah putting in the chop. Good defensive work from him as he gets a little help from Frank Morris. Morris runs into trouble on the red line. Poke check there by McCrone. Shot comes in. And that's deflected high.
Action around the front of the British net. Finnish referee quickly saying the face-off will come outside the zone. Players were in the crease.
Change of personnel for both teams out there, as Dampier has words on the bench. Plakov punches that through. Flip to the far side by O'Connor. Return pass to O'Connor. Quickly gets it up to Chin. Chin feeds it all the way in. Stelenkov is there. McEwen grazes Stelenkov as he goes behind the net. Shendelev peppers that to the far side. Yushkevich takes a big hit. McEwen tries to set it free, and he does. McEwen gets a hard ride along the boards, but comes up with a puck. Good stuff by McEwen. Cranston goes after his man. And Britain just shoot it out of the zone. Britain showing signs of physical stuff out there. Nice to see. They're settling down, playing some hockey. Chin fakes the first shot. His second shot, his shot on goal is well wide of the target. He had a lot of time out there. Mallow peppers it back in. Chin behind the goal. McEwen now looking for Chin out front. McEwen tries to get it right out front. Loose puck is there. McEwen with the skate, a chance, shoots, misses the target. McEwen with a good opportunity to make it 2 for Britain. Excellent stuff as O'Connor gets it in neutral ice territory. Loose puck now is picked up, and the Russians so quick to break, get the shot on goal. Another shot coming right in there. Berezin got a piece of it the first time.
I see.
Good spell again by Great Britain, and the British fans who have come a long way to see their team in Pool A really appreciating that.
There is a good group of British support in the crowd. Berezin going the other way for Russia. He's taken off the puck, but a good spell by the British. The Russians, for the first time in this game, actually sitting back on their heels. A little guilty of watching the play.
Scott Morrison being told to get out of the circle. Bezukladnikov stays there. Patrick Scott now for Great Britain moves in. Scott directs that into the corner. Gorbachev is dumped, but then picks himself up and grabs the puck. Gorbachev slamming on the brakes, doing a nice little move. This guy has got good wheels. Gorbachev poked away from the play at the last moment by Kurtenbach, who's doing a good job defensively. Kurtenbach staying on his man as Boudet spins everybody around. Look at the moves from these Russians. The shot right there. McCrone makes a save, goes down, and that comes into the corner with Emalin mixing it up along the boards with Scott. Excellent puck control from the Russians as they play with the British team now. Bezukladnikov got it over, and the rebound eventually comes to Great Britain, and they just shoot it out of the zone. Another whistle on the play. Another penalty on the play.
Interference call going against the Russians. Again, the Brits get out of their own zone and they play their own end a little bit better. Mason and Scott with some good communication. Mason covering his man in front of the goal. Patrick Scott having to pick up the extra player. They've got to come back and help out, and that's what happened on the shift. They escaped any more damage. Gorbachev going to the penalty box for Russia. Interference on the play. The Brits will have the man advantage for 2 minutes.
Gorbachev a moment earlier displayed exquisite stick handling skills. Fedulov from a sharp angle. Britain now trying to get something going here in the second period. They trail it 6-1. Fedulov again back in the corner. Cooper couldn't get a handle on that. Hope taps it along the boards. Good pressure from the Russians as they keep Great Britain hemmed in their own zone. Long clearance in by Cooper. Hand drops it right in front from the side of the net all the way back to the blue. Hope winds up, takes the shot, and Stalenkov is there. Loose puck, they're still poking away at it. Conway went in.
Tony Hand lifted his head up into the air. I think he thought he should have had a tip on Shannon Hope's shot. It was coming his way. He was open in front of the goal. Brabant, never shy about getting involved around the front of the net, came in hard for the rebound. Good job by the goaltender just to hang on. Brabant did an even better job of just getting out of the way after he took a good swipe at it.
Face-off in Russian territory. Back to Hope. Hope just feeds it right through. Conway was right in front. Tap into the corner, and Farah tries to get a handle on it. Zhitnik peppers that, but Hope moves in right in front. The shot comes. Stalenkov makes the save. Loose puck goes out front, and great hockey from Great Britain as they apply the pressure out there.
Good
Farah kept it in the zone.
Great chance for Conway and a lovely pass from Shannon Hope. That was a good opportunity.
Cooper takes on Yashin. Yashin squeezed out of the play, but he hangs on to that puck. And we have another whistle on the play and another penalty. 10 minutes gone in the second period. And the Russians with Gorbachev in the penalty box for interference.
It's being evened up now. The Brits will join the Russians in the box. Good pressure from the Russians. Hope and Cooper on the defense. Farah back there to help out. Shannon Hope works his way to the box on a hooking call.
Well, the Russians will have a power play for about a minute and 25 seconds. McEwen trying to give that to Mallow. Mallow along the boards. McEwen moves in to help out. McEwen pushing the puck, can't get it away from Berezin. The shot comes in. And number 7, Cote, getting in front of that a little, and back comes Great Britain. This is looking good. Smirnov is the only one back. A 2-on-1 situation. Shot right on the target. And Stalenkov coming out of his net to make the save. Cote doing a great job at the other end of the rink, and this time it's McCrone who makes the save. Handful of seconds on the penalty to Gorbachev.
A variety of players seeing ice together. As we said before, the Brits have never really played together as a whole team. Mallow taking a shift with Cote. Cote, a guy who likes to block a lot of shots. Mallow, a guy who can go offensive, but really likes to throw his weight around as well, playing a good, disciplined defensive game so far.
It looks too like John McCrone, the goaltender, has settled down. He's staying on his feet a lot more, hanging on to that puck, pushed through by Bezukladnikov. It'll be a power play situation in a moment as Mullen mixes it up. The Russians are back at full strength as that bobbles in the corner. Cooper tried to get it out of the zone. There are 2 Coopers out there, Ian and Stephen. Brothers, both play for Cardiff, come from the north of England, and these guys can play hockey. Long pass, fed through by Mullen, and offside is the call.
6-1 the score still. That's how it was after 20 minutes of play. The Brits have picked things up a little bit. They're playing better in this period. Shannon Hope waiting to come back onto the ice, serving his penalty. The Russians will try and increase it here with a few seconds left on the power play.
Frolov pops that to the far side. Bezukladnikov drops it back. Zhitnik looking for space. Zhitnik just throws that towards the net. It bounces around in the corner, and the Russians now set it up. Great Britain go back in the box. Kellen goes after his man. Brabant trying to squeeze that away. Kellen again as that comes all the way back to the blue line. The shot comes in. Frolov from the hash marks squeezes that into the corner. Bouncing puck is picked up, and Great Britain will get this all the way down the ice. Hope still in the penalty box. Good clearance up to Frolov. 15 seconds on the power play now, and this will be an achievement in itself if the Brits can keep a clean sheet while they have this power play. Frolov pops it over, shot comes in, and McCrone goes down.
Kaminsky waiting right in front of the goal. McCrone didn't give him an opportunity, though, to have a shot at the rebound. Shot taken from the point. Kaminsky right there. Steve Cooper comes over to cover him up.
Fedulov loses out on the face-off. Cranston doing a good job of getting that back. Hope steps on the ice. Kovalenko tried to stop that from coming off. Fedulov in neutral ice territory, puts it onto the left wing. Back on the attack. Kaminsky going in, so strong, looking for an opening. Cote had his man tied up on the far side, and again, Kaminsky shows his strength out there. Good defensive stuff by Hope in neutral ice territory. Cranston gets it back. Malo shoots it away from Kaminsky. A long clearance goes all the way down the ice, and eventually the icing whistle blows.
Both teams wanting to change again. Passes still too far apart for the Brits. They've got to stay together, go with the shorter passes. Fresh legs coming out for both teams. McCrone going for a little skate. Shalenkov in his goal, trying to stay aware. He hasn't seen much action. He's watched a lot of this game. He's only been beaten once by Kurtenbach in the first period.
From the face-off now, Morrison feeds that over to the far side, and the Brits just hammer it out of the zone. Icing is the call. Six to 1 the score. The Russians doing all their scoring in the first period. Britain's picking up one goal also. Britain picking up one goal also in the first period. And that's the way it stands right now. Morrison up against Yashin. Yashin gets it back. Matt Cote muscles. Cote tries to tie up his man as Bure goes in front. Cote hammers it off the boards. A chance now for Morrison. He flips it into the zone. And another whistle on the play as that goes high. Just a reminder that later on tonight it'll be the Czech Republic against France. And we take a look at one or two of the British fans who've come a long way to see this team perform in Pool A. Morrison in neutral ice territory loses out to his opposite number, Alexei Yashin.
Wonder if Morrison's got any ideas for himself. He's won 2 out of 3 draws against Yashin. Yashin's salary is $4.2 million over 5 years. I wonder what Scotty's thinking.
If only. From behind the net, Morrison gets back, playing some good two-way hockey. Loose puck, shot comes in. Bure performing well out there. Nicolishin, Yashin, Nicolishin now from behind. Kellen goes after him, tries to tie him up. Yashin picks up the puck. Yashin has Bure out front, drops it back. Nicolishin along the boards, throws it into the slot area. Bure from out front, and we have another whistle on the play. And this line with Nicolishin, Yashin, and Bure totally dominating the scene out there.
A lot of hooking, clutching, grabbing away from the play. Yashin goes to the net, but it's without his left glove. The whistle blew, and 10 players on the ice all had a look at the Finnish referee to see what that was all about. It's all about Ulanov going to the penalty box.
2 minuti di penalità, il numero 28 Igor Ulanov della Russia per bastone alto. 2 minutes penalty against number 28 Igor Ulanov of Russia for high sticking.
O'Connor throws that into the corner as we approach the 14-minute mark here in the second period. High sticking is the call on Ulanov. Flip over to the far side. Shot comes in. Stalenkov got a piece of it. Batted in by O'Connor as that bounces out to the hash marks. O'Connor right at the blue, pops it right back into the zone. Cooper working with Brabant, and the Russians coming out quickly. 3 players getting in the British zone as it's cleared out and all the way down the ice. Yushkevich goes back deep. Stelenkov is there. Yushkevich picks it up for the Russian side. Off the woodwork, and again it's Russian possession. Brabant, a long clearance intended for hand and completed, but the whistle blows. Good call by Brabant as he tapped the ice, and the Russian gave it right to him.
The Brits certainly can't take it easy because they've got the man advantage. The Russians are always dangerous on the penalty kill.
And there goes the man advantage. Mike O'Connor sits for 2 for interference.
It's the sort of thing that the Brits really need to stay away from. They've got the man advantage. They need to take as much of a benefit for having that as they possibly can. They need to get a few goals in the net here. They're down by 5, 6-1 at the moment.
Farah against Gorbachev. Kellen deep in his own zone. Kellen starts it up on the left side. Hits the blue line, still with Kellen. Long pass up on the wing. Going in hard is Frank Morris. Kellen pulls up and pops it into the corner. Puck goes right out front. Morris tries to get the shot away. Farah moves in. Frank Morris working well with Farah. Stelenko comes up with the save.
Morris and Farah linking up nicely. Frank Morris staying right on top of the play. Did a good job of skating. Farah coming in quickly to try and get something on the rebound. Stelenkov did come up big on that one.
Whistle blew, but the puck hadn't been frozen by the goaltender. Makala, the referee, just couldn't see it.
Having said that, with Farah on one knee and Morris caught in deep as well, the Russians would have been off to the races had that whistle not blown.
Kote runs into Gorbachev. Frolov wants it on the wing, and he gets it. Frolov hits the red, comes up to the blue. Looking for a little space, a little time. Less than 5 minutes on the period, less than 30 seconds on the power play. All the way back. And the Russians applying the pressure. Loose puck right in front with Imolin trying to do something. A shot comes in and whistles by the far post. Zhitnik mixing it up along the boards. Kellen grabs his man. Kovalenko tries to keep the legs moving, and he does. Good moves by Kovalenko. All the way back to the blue, moving in, shot. Ricochets away. And Kote mixes it up as Conway steps in to help out. Kellen in front of his own goal. Great Britain with Conway losing out. Shot coming in from Kamensky is deflected away. Kovalenko back to the blue. Smirnov deflection just wide of the post. Kamensky running interference, cleaning up behind the goal is a broken stick. Kamensky now wants it, gets it, looking for the give and go. That doesn't happen. This guy has stature from beside the net. Goaltender goes down and makes the save. Whoa, Fedulov was right there. Good save by Macron as he went down. Biakin can move, throws it up into neutral ice territory. Moving in quickly, the shot. Loose puck in front, another one bounces away, and the British team back at full strength. And the Russians throwing that puck around out there, now with Biakin in the corner. Biakin slams on the brakes, he's hit into the boards, but Nicolishin gets the puck. Chance now for Great Britain as they move forward. McEwen wants it on the right side. The shot comes in. Stelenkov got a piece of Cranston's puck. The rebound come out, but back come the Russians. 2-on-2 situation. Biakin drops it back. Big shot coming in. McEwen picks it up after Macron made the save. And this game is picking up the pace. Chin ties up his man as Kamensky feeds that in front. From beside the net, the goal is there. No one came back to help out. Shendelev had all the time in the world to come up as Yashin poked and eventually kicked the puck out front.
Hope a little bit late getting back into the play. Shendelev putting the goal away on a nice pass kicked over to him from Yashin. Yashin doing what he does best, controlling things around the front of the goal and always being a pest. Shendelev is all by himself.
Mason on the right-hand side flips that high, and it's brought down in neutralized territory. The Russians again with the puck. Yashin. A lot of time to move it around, all the way back to the blue. Shot, score! Ulanov from way back of the blue. That's number 8.
Ulanov finds himself with a lot of time. It appeared to take a deflection. It doesn't matter. It finds the back of the net, and it's another Russian goal.
Getting set for the face-off now. The floodgates are starting to open out there as that comes back onto the blue line, and Great Britain move it up as far as the red and shoot it in off the plexi. Tony Hand tries to get it out front. That took a deflection far side of the rink. Conway goes after his man, and another whistle on the play as Valery Bure broke down the left side. And the more I see this guy, the more I like him.
He is very young and very talented. He's got a future ahead of him. The van going into the boards very heavily with a Russian player as he had released the puck. The referee staying right on top of that as the two players gave each other an extra shot or two.
Prevent makes his way to the penalty box, and we get a couple of penalties on the play. Yashin in there too. Face-off just outside the Russian zone as Hand moves into the circle up against Tuplakov. Long clearance all the way down. Stelenkov comes out of the net. Cooper to Hand. Hand with a lot of time. Cooper ties up Smirnov, or is it Smirnov tying up Cooper? From right in front, that comes all the way down the ice.
You can see that happening all over. Hope was trying to get in there, trying to get involved in the play, and the Russian forward was just staying right with him, not giving him an opportunity.
Coming up to the final minute of this period of hockey. Shot comes in. McCrone makes the save. Another one. Yushkevich letting it fly from out. The rebound was there, and McCrone made a couple of saves. Hand through neutralized territory. Plakov ties him up. Cooper shoots it in. Nikolishin. Long pass up onto the blue line. Return pass is not a good one. That goes all the way down the ice. Hope is there. Conway taps it into the corner. Back to Hope. One or two passes out there. Finally, Hope's pass didn't make it. Fair is working with Hope. Back to Hope. Continuous pressure from Vezuk Kladnikov. These guys can skate. Fair with Conway. Conway was the intended receiver. The pass was a weak one. Back on the attack, the Russians. Time running out. Berezin puts it to the far side. Fair is there to pick it up. Working down the left side. Can he pop something before the period ends? Fair tries to go through the defense, loses control, and Frolov picks it up. Frolov, in the dying seconds of this period, feeds it into the corner. Vezuk Kladnikov being pushed out of the play by Malo. And there goes the buzzer to end the second period. A better period for Great Britain.
8-1 after two Russian goals in the period. But as you said, Paul, the Brits did settle a lot better. McCrone seemed to pull his game together.
Liebe Zuschauer, wir möchten Sie darauf hinweisen, dass neben der Eishalle ein großes Zeltfest für die gesamte Dauer der Eishockey
Go into the dressing room and talk about this third and final period. As we've said so many times, they don't expect, or they didn't expect to win this game. I'm sure they don't expect to win it now. but they're not disgracing themselves yet. They're playing some good hockey out there. They're hitting, they're throwing the puck around. Defensively, we thought they would be weak, but they're a lot stronger than I anticipated anyway.
It's just a different game altogether. The Brits are used to getting a lot of ice time. Their season has just ended. The Russians are used to being on and off the ice, and it's a totally different style of hockey.
We're going to take a break right now, but we'll be back with some highlights and eventually the third and final period, so stay with us. Welcome back to the third and final period of this game between Russia and Great Britain. 8-1 the score, the Russians leading the British side, and the Brits back in Pool A hockey for the first time since 1962. But they have done wonders to get from Pool D to Pool A in 5 years under coach Alex Dampier, but right now they know what it's like to be playing against the big boys. The Russians really are just playing with them out there. They only scored 2 goals in the second period, but I feel if they're given instructions to crank it up a gear, they can. Kamensky, a star with Quebec, is showing signs of brilliance, but he too is just floating like a lot of the players out there, and they're finding their feet in this first game. They're not going to knock themselves out. It's a long way to go. They don't want to show all their stuff. But having said that, Great Britain at times are looking very good indeed. They came into this one knowing that they would get rubbed out by the Russians. They feel the same way about Canada, but they hope they can do better against Germany and Austria and possibly Italy.
They've got a long way to go, but Coach Mikhailov on the Russian bench is going to have to keep these guys going hard. You can't lay back, take it easy. And during the period, there were a few extra passes being made. That's bound to happen, but they need to keep their intensity up because the Russians have got a long road ahead of them as well. They've got some tough games coming up.
Seppo Makala, the referee, hasn't had a lot of things to call out there, 1 or 2 minor penalties, but that's been it. It hasn't been that physical. I thought with Great Britain it would be very physical indeed, but they're not hitting the body as much as I thought they would. A very shaky start for the goaltender, John McCrone, and he seems to have settled down now, but for my money he spends a lot of time down on the ice, and you can't play hockey against teams of this caliber when you're down on all fours. Really, it's up and down hockey for a goaltender. You make the save, you go down, and then you get right back up to face the shooter, but that's not happening. He's staying down, and Dampier has got to talk to him about that. They've got to watch these videos and say, look, this is what you're doing wrong. After the pre-Olympic tournament in August, Dampier said that he was going to bring in a goaltending coach, because that definitely is the weakest part of the British game, but that doesn't appear to have happened. I will say that Britain will pay the price for that. A lot of coaches around the world, for that matter, feel that goaltenders are not important, and they put kids in goal who can't skate. I know when I was a kid growing up in Canada, and you'd think Canada would have goalie coaches, it took a long time. In fact, before, just as I got to junior hockey, when I finally met someone who knew about goaltending and he could tell me what to do. So goaltenders are always left in the shadows, and there's no exception in Britain. But they too need coaching. They need instruction on how to react to shots and how to play the angles and whatever, just like forwards and defense do. A lot of people think that you just have to be dumb to get in there, but really you have to know what you're doing. You can be dumb too, but just know what you're doing.
I hope you're not looking at me for a comment on that one, Paul. I mean, I've got to put up with you for the next couple of weeks. I'm not going to say anything. I know you were an ex-goalie. I know you quite well. I'm going to get right out of it. You're doing a good job. You're on a roll. You keep going.
I'm just waiting for these guys to come out on the ice. Give me a break, fellas. Let's play some hockey.
The Russians look relaxed. The players going back to the penalty box, each team with a man in the box. 17 seconds remaining on those penalties.
I like what I'm seeing out there from Sergei Berezin. He played well in the Olympics. I also like Valery Bure. This guy is hot. Yashin, as we expected, would be a class act. Ilya Byakin on defense has impressed too. And Frolov, number 8, has been looking good. He plays his hockey in Milan. He's seen international ice hockey before. Just a handful of seconds now on the coincidental penalties, and the Russians bring it over the line. Dropped all the way back by Kamensky. Shot comes in. Zelensky tries to steer away. Frolov puts it upstairs. And the Russians come out firing on all cylinders as that's pumped away all the way down the ice. Shendelev gets it right up the middle. Long clearance goes down the ice. Britain trying to explode from deep, and that doesn't happen.
Yashin has returned to the ice. 1:26 left on Brabant's penalty. He'll come out to level things up. He got 4 minutes on the play. Yashin 2.
A good pass over by Fedulov. Fedulov doing some great stick handling as the net comes off its moorings.
Russians still moving things around, under control. The net coming off, as you said, Paul. Kovalenko going in hard. Cote back there for Great Britain. Russians still have the man advantage.
Happy, smiling faces on the Russian bench. This will ease them gently into the next game when they take on the Italians. And the Russians will remember that it wasn't that long ago in their first game in the World Championships that they tied the Italians at 2 apiece. The Italians playing at home now can be even tougher.
Italians have changed a few men in their lineup, and they didn't look that bad. They went down to the Canadians 4-1, but it wasn't that bad of a game overall. We've seen a few surprises already.
The Swedes and the Norwegians drew at 3 apiece. The Italians 4-1 to Canada, as we said. 4-4 Czech Republic and Finland. Austria and Germany 2-2, and then the USA got it right against France 5-1. Morris from the face-off. Another penalty on the play out there. Morris goes after his man as that comes over. McEwen doesn't go after his man from the side of the net. Bezukladnikov reaches for it, and a chance now for Morris. Morris breaks on the right side, going up against Frolov. Frolov tries to steer him behind the goal. Morris slams on the brakes, and that bounces all the way over to Kellen. Kellen takes the shot. Bounces out quickly. McEwen puts the stick in there. Yushkevich swipes at it. McEwen and Yushkevich collide, and that comes all the way back to the blue line. Kellen fires that over, and McEwen comes up with a puck. McEwen, one of the finest skaters in British ice hockey, moving up against Bezukladnikov. McEwen finds some space up the middle. McEwen fakes. The last moment the poke check was there, and the Russians back on the attack. All the way back to the blue, fed in from a sharp angle. Yashin waiting out front. McEwen picks it up. McEwen looking for places to go. His pass is not a good one. That one goes all the way down the ice. Zhitnik. Brabant steps back on the ice. Zhitnik moves it up, tries to split the defense, and pops it away from Brabant, all the way back into his own territory. Ulanov, 40 seconds on the power play now for Great Britain. Yashin dumps it away from Brabant, and that's flipped over to Zhitnik. Zhitnik being chased by Hand, who goes for a big skate. Zhitnik with a lot of room comes up, hits the shot, and misses the target. That bounces right in front, and Mallow picks it up for Britain. Mallow working with O'Connor. O'Connor now up to the blue, puts it up to Mallow. Mallow, the French-Canadian, gives it to Brabant. Of course, all these guys hold British passports, but Mallow hails from Quebec, and that's tipped along the boards. Brabant, Russia back at full strength from the far side. Hand drops it back. This could be good. The shot comes in. Brabant tries to get over and pick it up, and he does. Brabant working with Tony Hand from behind the net. Hand cruising in on the side. Ian Cooper is dumped. Zhitnik tries to control that. Cooper and Zhitnik collide. Hand pops it back into the corner. Cooper is there. All the way back to the blue. Mallow throws it in the corner. Excellent hockey coming from Britain. Tony Hand right out front. The shot. Brabant is there. Brabant now collides with Nicolishin. Brabant fights off Zhitnik. Hand couldn't get a handle on that, and back come the Russians. Zhitnik feeds it over to Yashin. Yashin pops it through the shot. McCrone makes a save, and another one there. Good stuff from Bernie McCrone as O'Connor picks it up, and both teams step it up a gear. O'Connor slams that up on the right side, and we have a whistle on the plate.
A couple of good saves by Macron. The Brits caught in the middle of a line change. Cooper, Hand, and Brabant had a nice shift for themselves. Came close a couple of times.
In Great Britain, when British television companies air hockey games, they have a tendency, as Nicky Chin sits down, I'm going to continue with this, they have a tendency to show 25, 30, 35 minutes of hockey, and consequently just goals are shown because there are a lot of goals scored in British hockey. So all you hear from commentators like myself are remarks criticizing the goaltenders because you're not seeing goaltenders make saves on British television. You're just seeing the goals go in. But on this occasion and throughout this competition, we hope we'll see the entire games when Great Britain play, so they'll be able to see that I do make comments positive about goaltenders, or I do make positive comments about British goaltenders as well as criticizing them. Too many men on the ice for Great Britain. Chin will sit for two. A chance as Britain move it in over the line. Morris works hard to get it out, and that's grabbed by Blackhoff. Over to the far side. Berezin really does have a great burst of speed. Puts it back to Juszkiewicz. Juszkiewicz back to Berezin. A give and go. Juszkiewicz with a lot of time back at the blue line. Over to the hash marks. Farah goes after him. Berezin with the puck. And that's dumped back to Juszkiewicz, and another whistle on the plate. Makala getting into the thick of things. Splashing is the call.
The Russians had the man advantage until Gorbachev took exception to the way he was being covered around the front of the goal. He slashed the British defender and sits for 2 minutes. That'll level things up now. The Brits feel very comfortable, that is, with that call, as they've just taken a silly penalty of their own for too many men on the ice.
Face off outside the British zone. Morris goes after his man. Kovalenko. And the Russians throwing the puck around nicely out there as they work through neutralized territory. This could be dangerous. The shot, Macron comes up with a big save. Great pass by Kovalenko to set that up, and Macron came up big on that one. Right in front, intercepted by Kellen. Kellen looking for an opening through neutralized territory. That took a deflection high, and Macron really has settled into this one.
Excellent save by Macron on that play. The Russians really moving the puck around nicely. Pass going across, the Russians in there all by themselves. Biakin.
Both teams getting set now for this face-off. 8-1 the score. Russia leading Britain here in the third period. Cranston trying to work his way over the blue. Cranston working with McEwen. Pushed to the far side by Shendelev. Biakin is there working with Shendelev back on the D. Kamensky now. Kamensky has a good shot. Kamensky elects to go back. Kamensky still hanging on to the puck. Such good stuff from Kamensky. Boy, is this guy class. Working with Biakin too.
Key to hockey is keep the legs going, head up, and move all over the ice, and the Russians display that one ever so nicely. Kamensky and Biakin linking together for that goal. Kamensky on the fly. Look at this guy go. Cranston is chasing him. It goes to Biakin. The pass is directed back across to Kamensky, and the Russians have their 9th goal of the game. An easy one for Kamensky. All he has to do is get the stick on it.
Al minuto 5:34 del terzo tempo segna la nona rete per
Bezuklednikov loses out on the face-off. Kurtenbach passes that to the far side. The return pass, and Great Britain now start to come out of their own zone. Giveaway pass through neutralized territory. You got to make these passes work out there, especially against these guys. Mason. Chin steps back on the ice. Bezuklednikov gets a hit from Chin. Mason goes in back, tries to pick it up. Curtain back now for Britain as they work it down the ice.
Gorbachev still in the box for Russia. The Brits have a power play.
Chin falls down with Smirnov on him. Morrison is in there too. Some good poke-checking along there on Scott. Britain trying to get that puck out front, having all sorts of difficulties. Scott looking for places to go. Morrison is there. Chin works hard in there too. The three of them set up the triangle. That comes back to the blue. Curtain back. Gorbachev back on the ice. Curtain back moves in. A chance for Curtain back. Gets to the far side. He shoots. Score! Scott was left all alone on the far side as Gorbachev stepped back on the ice. Number 2 for Britain.
Curtain back, the defenseman, getting involved in both British goals. A goal and an assist now for Terry Curtain back. A lovely heads-up pass from him. Chin doing the body work. Curtain back takes the puck. He feeds Patrick Scott. Scott, no matter who he's playing against, isn't going to miss chances like that one very often. A nice goal for Patrick Scott on a great feed from Terry Curtain back.
Yashin from the face-off loses that. Farah gets the pass from Stephen Cooper. Farah backhands that in the corner. Conway goes after it. Ulanov flips it over now to number 4, Zhitnik. Long clearance up the far side, and Pope goes after his man as that's put all the way back to the top of the circle. Nicolishin is cruising in the circle. Conway gets it up, and that's grabbed just outside the blue line. A little over 7 minutes gone in this period. Conway looking for places to go. Conway doesn't get the shot away, but hangs on to the puck. Farah's right there, ready for the score! Conway's there! Farah was with them! That's number 3. Britain are coming back into this game.
I like your enthusiasm, Paul, but it's still an uphill battle. 9-3 to score now. But this is all a confidence booster for Great Britain. They're showing that they can score with anybody. The Russians are one of the best teams in the tournament. Farah and Conway, a couple of pesky characters around the goal. Kevin Conway has the final say on this one. Good work from Conway. The puck is coming toward the goal. It's bouncing around. Farah's like a little sniffer dog. He's always in there on the puck. Kevin Conway continues on to the front of the goal, gets a backhand on it, and the British have scored their 3rd goal of the game.
And again, we see a goaltender's mistake. McCrone traps that one there, but again, we see Stalenkov not putting the stick down to stop that puck from coming out of the side of the net. 9-3 now the score, and this is a lot better from Great Britain as they pick up a quick couple of goals here in the 3rd period. Flakov gets that back, and the Russians pick it up back in the blue line, bringing it forward. Russia not want to give up too many more goals. Mikhailov will have them skating through the night. Chin into the corner. Chin gets hit hard by Yushkevich. Chin is a physical guy, but Yushkevich is even more physical out there. McEwen from a sharp angle. That goes high. Pushed all the way up to the blue line and back on the attack. Some cheeky stuff there from Gorbachev. Gorbachev works into the corner. Mallow is in there too. Yushkevich takes the shot. The save is there. Yushkevich again comes in and peppers one. That deflects over to the hash marks. McEwen hit along the boards, and the Russians now are starting to pick up the pace as Mallow moves in there. Both teams starting to get a bit physical, and this is good hockey from both sides.
McEwen and Mallow both throwing their weight around in the corner. You could hear the boards all over the rink rattling. A couple of good hits. The Russians getting in there quick. 3 Brits are back, 2 Russians in the corner.
Folks, I actually believe that for the first time in this game, as we take a look at Andre Mallow, for the first time in this game, Great Britain believe in themselves. They're playing a lot better hockey. They're playing with confidence. It's taken 3 periods. They're not going to win this game, but they're looking a lot sharper, and they actually believe in themselves. They believe they can play at this level.
The guys on the ice deserve the credit. They're hearing it from the people at home even. They weren't given much of a chance. They've been up against it right from the start. They're out there giving 110% for Great Britain. That's the most important thing.
Well, there was a lot said about Terry Kurtenbach in particular by one main writer. I won't mention his name, but Norm is out there now. And he actually said Kurtenbach shouldn't be on the team. That he'd been playing his hockey in Division I and wasn't really ready for it. That he was slow and he couldn't play at this level. Shendelev, big shot, big save. And again, McCrone comes up. Fedulov gives Kellen a little push, and the officials move in quickly.
Shot coming toward the goal. McCrone makes the first save. Everybody's trying to have a whack at the rebound. Cote gets involved. Kellen with a nice cross-check from behind. That little elbow from Fedulov was just to say, hey, look, I took notes on that one. I'm coming back for more.
Dampier talking to Tony Hand. Dampier looks relaxed. And why not? They've scored 3 goals against the Russians. Frolov looking for the return pass. It doesn't come his way. Beside the goal, Shendelev. The return pass to Shendelev. To the high slot. Farah got a piece of it, but couldn't bat it down. Hope is out there from a sharp angle. The shot coming from Fedulov didn't reach the goal. Right in front. And McCrone goes down. Fedulov on the far corner. Kovalenko just couldn't ram it home.
The Russians causing problems again around the front of the British goal.
Biakin tries to go the distance. Cooper goes back, takes him out heavily into the boards. Hope stays with his man out there. Excellent hit on Biakin by Cooper. Back to Shendelev. Shendelev's shot is deflected away. Kamensky got it right in front. Kovalenko was there, but just couldn't get the lumber on it. Fedulov chases his man. Morris rattles it off the woodwork, and that goes down the ice. Excellent penalty killing by the Brits.
The crowd certainly have gotten themselves into it. There's a good group of supporters on hand from Great Britain, and they're starting to like what they see.
Shendelev drops it back. Mallow steps on the ice. They're back at full strength. Bouncing puck, and Britain can't get it out of the zone at the first attempt, but Mallow picks it up. A rink-wide pass goes nowhere. Russia now trying to get that out, and Kurtenbach picks it up. Kurtenbach working with Cranston on the wing. Kurtenbach takes it in close. Kurtenbach goes down, and Cranston goes in the corner. We have another whistle on the plate as the officials get in to break it up out there. Looking just a little like an elbow.
One of those situations where you tell a defenseman to step up and hit the guy at the blue line. Well, Kurtenbach met the blue line in a hurry on that play. He really got dropped. The Russians go to the penalty box. That's Yushkevich. Yushkevich, no stranger to the rough stuff, plays his hockey in the NHL.
Power play situation out there. Brabant gets it back, and the Great Britain side set it up. The pass in from Hope. Brabant goes into the corner. Bouncing puck. Pushed away by 16, Ian Cooper. Brabant mixing it up right in front. Loose puck is there. And Cooper coming up, and Hope. Brabant going back now in a hurry. Mullen out there, gets it out front, the shot, loose puck. McCrone went down, and sloppy play from Great Britain. They have the man advantage out there. Tony Hand. Hand picks up his own pass. Hand looking for a little space. Pass over onto the left wing intended for Hope. Batted down by Bezukladnikov. Thrown into the corner. Frolov whistles that all the way down the ice.
Brits still with time on the power play. Need to get it together a little bit here.
Farah throws it out front, and Great Britain come out of their own zone. Back on the attack. Hope fires it in off the boards. Zhitnik, the side of the net. Conway is out there. Farah rather. These are the guys that scored a goal a moment ago. Farah Cote can't trap that, and it's shot all the way down the ice. Good aid. And again, even before that puck came out, I hate to keep harping on about it, but the goaltender had gone down and camped right on the post. He was down on one knee. Impossible to get up if that guy gets out front. Conway, fair is there! Big chop as Frank Morris muscles with Igor Ulanov. Morris continues to mix it up, and Makela will not stand for this.
Good work once again. Kevin Conway and Rick Farah are really playing good hockey. They're aggressive and they're pesty around the front of the goal. A nice elbow from Morris there as he gets himself involved in the play. Good work though. Frank Morris taking the initial hit from Ulanov. That carried on right to the front of the goal. Ulanov had him in a nice headlock. Another guy comes in, gives Morris another shot. In the meantime, Conway and Farah are trying to put another goal together, and they nearly did it.
And in the background, All You Need Is Love blares out from the speakers. Great Britain going through a very good spell there.
Conway, Farah, and Morris taking a rest. The Russians with another man in the penalty box now. Good opportunity for the Brits to try and get something else on the board here.
Blackoff, the special teams man, goes out at center. Cranston wins it. Cote fans on the shot. And that's shot out of the zone. And the Great Britain side will have one man now to the advantage. Cranston winds up, shoots. Good save by Stalenkov. Cranston really let it fly. Mallow bats it down and fires it into the zone.
One Russian has returned. Nikolishin still in the penalty box. The Brits with a 5-on-4.
Cote goes along the boards to jam that. McEwen takes over back at the blue. McEwen, Cote. Cote now goes forward as Shendelev gets it up quickly. And the Russians, no matter what they're doing out there, are always dangerous. Loose puck out front. There's going to be a penalty on the play as soon as Great Britain touches the puck.
Slashing call against the Brits. To level things up, Nikolishin is still in the box for Russia. Scotty Morrison going to the penalty box for Great Britain. Play coming right to the front of the British goal again. McCrone sees the puck go by and sees a Russian slide out of the play. The infraction had already occurred.
9-3 the score here in the third period. The Russians leading Great Britain. Yushkevich lets the shot go. McCrone makes the save as he comes out to cut down the angle. A chance for Hand as he goes in. Hand looking for a little support now as he slows it down, passes along, right along the blue line, shot, and Stalenkov makes the save way back in his goal. Morrison, Hand shoots, Stalenkov makes the save. Hand was all alone. Yushkevich picks it up. And Brabant, not Morrison, got it over to him. Good pass by Brabant. Hand was right there, couldn't capitalize. Yushkevich, 5.5 minutes remaining. Cooper couldn't slow down Yushkevich. Yushkevich bounces that off Cooper's skate and it comes out to neutral ice territory. Good little pass through to Biakin. Hope wrestles with him. And a lot of chopping out there as the teams start to mix it up. And again, it's Frank Morris. And again, it's Biakin having words.
You're exactly right. Hope getting involved. Cooper putting the hook on his man. Hope, see the referee's arm going up in the air as Hope came in on Biakin. Calls being made. Nikolishin is already in the box for Russia. He's about to come out. Biakin joins him in the box.
Makela quick to pounce on everything out there. He really doesn't let anything go. He knows that it's a 2-week tournament, and if he lets something go now, it's going to get worse as the games go on. trying to sort out this clock.
Alta. 2 minutes penalty against number 6, Shannon Hope of Great Britain.
Captain Cooper for the Great Britain team trying to assess whether these are coincidental penalties or what the referee is actually calling on the play. Hope is in the penalty box for Great Britain. Biakin goes to the box for Russia. Nicolishin is already in there for Russia, and Scott Morrison is already in there for Great Britain.
Farah against Bezukladnikov. Everyone looks at the clock, and Makala tries to explain exactly what is happening out there.
1:04 left on the penalty to Scott Morrison, who was called for slashing. You can see Makala trying to say that Hope's penalty hasn't gone up onto the board. There's only one British penalty being shown there. Hope is in the penalty box. Biakin's penalty has gone up, and there's 11 seconds left on Nicolishin's penalty.
There we go. Number 6, Shannon Hope, gets 2 minutes. And this will open it up. Frolov drops it back onto the D, and the Russians being shadowed by Farah as Nicolishin steps on the ice. 4-on-3 situation. The Russians will set it up. Bezukladnikov drops it back. Frolov over to the far side. Nicolishin is in front. Bezukladnikov unable to get onto that, and we have another whistle on the plate. As Frank Morris was set to break down the far side of the rink. Still some problems with the timing on this.
Referee Makala not even sure why the whistle blew. He stood in the corner trying to figure out what was going on. The linesman had blown the whistle. 48 seconds remaining on Morrison's penalty.
.144 on Hope's penalty.
That's right, both the 6s in the box, Biakin and Hope. 1:44 left to go on theirs. The linesman trying to explain to the referee what has happened.
The time has now been adjusted. It is remaining on the period. We really have had some problems with the timing, both on the television. It's gone back from 18 minutes to 15 minutes, which makes a lot of British people feel a lot happier about that.
And now the whistle is blown again because everybody in the crowd is complaining and pointing to the score clock. Once again, Makala's got to get this one sorted out.
Stephen Cooper goes over and has words with Makala. Kellen, the captain, would like to know what's going on too. Frank Morris wants to face off a little further away from the zone. Hope and Morrison sit in the penalty box. Face off just outside the Great Britain zone. The clearance by Stephen Cooper. 9-3 confirmation of the score. We know that much. Frolov picks it up in front of his net, puts it into neutralized territory. The Russians now looking to get another one and go into double figures. Bezukladnikov. Little tip forward, too far, too bouncy. Cooper drops it back, and the return pass goes to Cooper. Cooper winds up and takes the long shot. Stalenkov into the corner. Zhitnik up to Smirnov. Smirnov, a nice little pass. Bezukladnikov. Smirnov. Bezukladnikov trying to get it over into the corner. Smirnov was up there too. Zhitnik. Zhitnik, the return pass. He's got the good shot wide of the target with Valery Bure breaking towards the goal. This guy always dangerous. Farah, the intended receiver, couldn't get a handle on that.
Morrison back on the ice for Great Britain.
Bure, his shot is wide of the target. Hope tries to go out, and the door is slammed on him as he laughs and sits down again. Shannon Hope, always up for a joke. Brabant putting the hook on.
And now Hope and Biakin come out of the box together. Both teams back at full strength. Yashin pulled down on the play by Rick Farah. The whistle was blown down. I was just starting to say the team's back at full strength. I actually did make that comment as Biakin and Hope came back on the ice. The whistle quickly blew. Farah going to the penalty box for the trip.
So Rick Farah, who plays his hockey in Trafford for the Metros, sits for 2. And this is not going to help the Great Britain cause as they trail 9-3. And we continue to have problems with that clock up there.
2 minuti di penalità, numero 11, Richard Mira, Britannia.
Juszkiewicz unable to keep that in the zone, picks it up at center ice and gets it to the far side. Long pass, Gorbachev lets that wide as it goes into the corner. Cote shakes his head.
Cote coming in from behind. He really did catch Plakov off balance. He went into the boards heavily. Makala was way over on the other side of the ice. He made the call, and Cote will sit for 2 minutes. 5-on-3 opportunity now for Russia.
McCrone will be aware that any moment now rubber is going to come his way.
2 minutes penalty against number 7 of Great.
Kellen in the face-off circle. He's kicked out. This could go on all day. Face-off deep in British territory. The Russians set it up now. Hand goes after his man. Juszkiewicz calls for it right back to the blue line. Smirnov gets it over. A chance right in. Gorbachev on the power play made it look easy.
The Russians didn't fool around with that one. They quickly buried a goal. The Brits will return one man out of the penalty box. Gorbachev all by himself. Kellen, McEwen, and Hand, the 3 penalty killers on the ice for Great Britain. By the time their heads spun around, 3 passes had been made, and the Russians had quickly scored a goal. Gorbachev all by himself back there, receives the pass and puts it behind McCrone.
From the face-off now, the Russians still with a power play out there. As Malo gets back and bangs it off the board. Still not out of the zone. Juszkiewicz keeping it in. Little interception there by Malo. Malo finds an opening, flips it high, and that goes all the way down the ice. Time running out on Great Britain here in the 3rd period. They trail at 10-3. McCrone smothers that as Berezin moves in quickly.
The Brits still not out of trouble. Berezin cruising around trying to hope that McCrone would keep the puck going, but he didn't. Face-off will be deep in Great Britain territory.
At 8 o'clock, that's Central European time. The Czech Republic take on France. You'll see that live on Eurosport. We're going to try to bring you the highlights of Canada-Austria as well. So stay with us tonight. We have games every day right up to and including the final on May the 8th. So we'll be bringing you lots of hockey from the World Championships in Italy. Fedulov all the way back onto the D. Shendelev now starts it up the middle. 2 minutes to go in the game. Fedulov right out front. Loose puck at the side of the net, and Great Britain shoot it all the way down the ice. Shendelev from behind the red line. It's academic now as the Russians throw the puck around, circle, do some good work. Shendelev working with Kamensky. Shendelev gives it up in the zone. Kamensky loses out, but Shendelev is there to cover up. That's been the story from beginning to end. The Russians with just too much power, too many good hockey players. Kamensky breaks, gets the pass. Kamensky lets the shot go. That deflects high, and we have another whistle on the play and another face-off.
Hope got a piece of that one, sending it up onto the netting above the plexiglass. The Brits changing things up again. Kurtenbach and Mason come onto the ice.
Fedulov has worked well throughout this entire game. Plays his hockey in Ambrì-Piotti in Italy, and he really is a good hockey player. The shot coming from way back at the blue as Gorbachev picks it up. Gorbachev will try it again. Gorbachev handing on to that puck, and Kurtenbach is all over him. Back at full strength, Great Britain with Farah. Farah chops at it off the plexi, and that goes down the ice. Icing is waved off as Juszkiewicz picks it up. Farah tries to get the hook in there. That doesn't work. Morris looking for a chance to get up there. The shot. Shelenkov hangs on to that with Brabant knocking on his door.
Brits successfully killing off the penalty. Have an opportunity of their own, like you said, Paul. Brabant waiting for a rebound, but it was right into the glove of Shelenkov. Time running out for Great Britain. The Russians look comfortable.
Getting set for this face-off now. Boris Mikhailov must be happy with what he sees out there. The Russians have gone through their paces and they've done a great job of piling on 10 goals against Britain. Kurtenbach goes back on the D as the Russians continue to shoot on goal. And that's number 11.
Brits backing in on Macron. Yashin comes down, has a lot of time, a lot of room, goes over the blue line, lets it go. And has another Russian goal.
Well, if you take a look at the Russian scoring, you'll see why this team is so great. Bezuklednikov, Fedulov, Biakin, Kovalenko, Bure, Berezin, Shendelev, Ulanov, Kamensky, Gorbachev, and Yashin. How many different players? 11. 11 goals. I don't think I repeated myself. 11 goals, 11 different players involved.
You're absolutely right, Paul. A total team effort from Russia.
Yashin realizes that right now this is not the NHL, but any day now it will get tougher in this group. They'll have to play the Germans, they'll have to play the Canadians, and things will get tougher for them. Brabant brings down his man, his hand goes in. Nikolitin falls, loose puck is out front, and Bure is there to make it an even dozen.
Well, there goes our theory about 11 different players scoring. They've got 12 goals, and Bura's got his second of the game.
Every time we say something, it's proved wrong.
Right in front of the goal. Nikolitin taken out of the play behind the net. Yashin continues on with the puck. He feeds Bura in front of the goal. Glove hand side is open, and Bura puts it there.
Well, it's always tough to break into a Montreal Canadian lineup. But I think someday Valerie Bure would do it. And after 60 minutes of hockey, that's the way it ends up. 12-3. We expected the Russians to be tough, and they were.
They've got a good team. They brought a few extra bodies over from the NHL. They're going to be a force to be reckoned with. I think we'll see better and better things from this team as they start gelling together a little bit more. It wasn't a real test for them against the British, but they certainly got the opportunity to get the bugs out of their system and start getting used to playing together. And we're going to see better things from Russia, and I do feel we'll see better things from Great Britain as they start settling in.
The Russians did what they had to do. They got their game together. As we said at the beginning, they haven't played a lot together. A lot of guys just got off the plane from the United States and Canada to take part in this competition. So the Russians really have a lot of work to do in practice, but they look sharp at times, and they really do have a lot of firepower out there defensively with the likes of Zhitnik and Juszkiewicz, Shendelev. They really are strong. Don't forget Ulanov. These guys are physical, and they've got great shots. As for Great Britain, We said it before, we'll say it again. They knew they wouldn't win this game, and they didn't. But they came here and they tried hard. The first period was a complete disaster. 6 goals against them, but perhaps he gained his confidence right from the very beginning. It would have been a closer scoreline, but nevertheless, they settled down in the second period, only conceded 2 goals, 4 in the third, but all in all, not a bad performance from the Great Britain side. Well, we're going to go for most valuable player or man of the match, and we'll take Great Britain first, Bopes.
I think that you could look at a couple of players. Terry Kurtenbach had a good game for himself. Why not? He's one of the guys that's come over and wasn't given a lot of credit. He's got a goal and an assist in this game. He worked hard. Why not? Give him the benefit of the doubt.
And for Russia?
For Russia, you could pick any one of
anyone of 12.
Anybody in the lineup if you want. I'll take Biak at number 6. He played a good game. He got involved in the offense, but he was very solid defensively as well.
I'll go for Igor Fedulov, number 11. He was all over the ice. He looked very strong throughout, and he's one to watch in this tournament. For Great Britain, well, Conway had a fine game too. Let's see what happens here.
11, Richard Fira.
Well, they gave it to Farah. Farah also played well.
Farah played with Conway. The two of them were pesty. They did their job. They worked hard around the front of the goal. Good job by Rick Farah.
He's a gutsy little performer, great stick handler. Let's see who they give the most valuable player to. Well, they gave it to Kamensky. Kamensky is a very classy player, and he went through the whole team on one occasion. And if it wasn't for a great stop by John McCrone, he would have had a goal to add to his goal that was number 9 for the Russians, but well, I thought he was cruising. Maybe that's just the way he plays hockey. That's the way it ends here after 3 periods. The Russians beating the Britain team 12-3.